The room pulsed with laughter and clinking glasses, but when I pressed play on my phone, a jagged silence sliced through the crowd. My wife, Elise, froze mid-sentence, her champagne flute trembling in her hand as her audio, crackled through the Bluetooth speaker. Her voice, soft and intimate, murmured words meant for someone else, words that now hung in the air like smoke from a fire no one saw coming. Her eyes locked on mine, wide with terror, and in that moment, I felt the ground beneath our marriage dissolve. The company party was in full swing at the sleek downtown loft, all glass walls and fairy lights strung like stars across the ceiling. Elise's firm had spared no expense. Caterers weaving through the crowd with trays of smoked salmon canapes, a jazz quartet humming in the corner, and colleagues in tailored suits and glittering dresses trading stories of corporate triumphs. I'd always been the outsider here, the professor husband who'd rather debate philosophy than profit margins. But Elise thrived in this world, her laughter bright as she worked the room, her auburn hair catching the light like a beacon. Tonight, though, I wasn't just the awkward plus one. I was a man with a secret burning a hole in my pocket. It started 3 weeks ago, a nagging itch I couldn't scratch. Elise had been distant, her phone always angled just out of view, her evenings filled with client dinners that stretched past midnight. I'd dismissed it at first. Her promotion to partner demanded long hours, didn't it? But then came the text I wasn't meant to see. I'd borrowed her phone to order takeout, hers being closer than mine, and there it was, a message from Alex that read, "Miss you already. Same time tomorrow." My heart thudded, a dull hammer against my ribs. Alex. Her colleague. The charming, square-jawed lawyer who always lingered too long at her side during these events. I didn't confront her. Not then. I needed proof, something undeniable to silence the part of me that still wanted to believe in her. The voicemail came by accident. I'd been syncing her phone to back up photos from our last vacation. Those sunlit days in Santorini when she'd still looked at me like I was her world. A notification popped up. A voice message she hadn't deleted, buried in a folder labeled work. Curiosity, or maybe dread, made me press play. Her voice, low and teasing, said, "Alex, you left your tie here again. You're getting careless. Call me when you're free. I can't stop thinking about last night." My stomach lurched, the room tilting as her words seared into me. I saved the file, transferred it to my phone, and carried it like a grenade, waiting for the moment to pull the pin. Tonight was that moment. The party was the perfect stage. Her world, her people, her carefully curated life. I'd spent the evening watching her, my smile tight as she laughed with Alex across the room. Their heads bent too close, his hand grazing her elbow. Each glance between them was a shard of glass in my chest. But I waited, sipping my bourbon, letting the alcohol dull the ache. I told myself I could still walk away, pretend I'd never heard the voicemail. But denial was a flimsy shield against the truth. "James, you're quiet tonight," said Rachel, Elise's assistant, her voice pulling me back. She stood beside me, her eyes kind but curious, her cocktail dress shimmering under the lights. "Everything okay?" I forced a smile, my fingers tightening around my phone. "Just taking it all in," I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside. "Elise seems in her element." Rachel glanced at Elise, then back at me, her brow furrowing slightly. "She's been intense lately. Work's been a lot, hasn't it?" "Yeah," I said, my throat dry. "A lot." The quartet shifted to a slower tune, and Elise moved toward the center of the room, raising her glass to toast the firm's latest merger. Her voice was confident, magnetic, drawing every eye. This was my wife, brilliant, untouchable, mine. Or so I'd thought. As applause rippled through the crowd, I slipped my phone from my pocket, connected it to the speaker system I'd scoped out earlier, and hesitated. My thumb hovered over the play button. This would ruin her. It would ruin us. But the weight of her betrayal pressed harder than my fear. I pressed play. Her voice filled the room, unmistakable, a velvet blade cutting through the chatter. "Alex, you left your tie here again." The words echoed, each one a hammer strike. Conversations died. Heads turned. Elise's glass slipped, champagne splashing across her dress as her face drained of color. Alex, standing near the bar, went rigid, his eyes darting to her, then to me. The room held its breath. and I felt a sick satisfaction mingled with nausea. James, Elise whispered, her voice barely audible as she crossed the room toward me. Her heels clicked on the hardwood, each step a countdown. What are you doing? I met her gaze, my heart a tangled knot of love and rage. What are you doing, Elise? My voice was low, but it carried, the room's silence amplifying every word. Care to explain? Her lips parted, but no sound came. The crowd shifted, murmurs rising like static. Rachel's hand grazed my arm. A fleeting gesture of support or pity, I couldn't tell. Alex moved toward us, his face a mask of panic and defiance. This is a misunderstanding, he said, his voice too loud, too desperate. James, let's talk privately. No, I said, my eyes never leaving Elise. Let's do this here. In front of everyone. Her hands trembled as she set her glass on a table, her composure cracking like thin ice. James, please, she said, her voice breaking. You don't understand. Then make me understand, I said, stepping closer, my voice sharp enough to cut. Tell me why you're leaving ties in his apartment. Tell me why you're whispering to him about last night. The room felt smaller, the air thick with tension. Colleagues exchanged glances, some stepping back, others leaning in, drawn to the wreckage. Elise's eyes filled with tears, but I couldn't tell if they were for me or for herself. It wasn't supposed to happen, she said, her voice barely a whisper. It was a mistake. A moment. A moment. I laughed, the sound bitter, raw. A moment that left his tie in your bed? A moment you couldn't stop thinking about. She flinched, and for a second, I saw the woman I married, vulnerable, flawed, human. But the image shattered as Alex spoke again. This is my fault, he said, stepping between us. I pursued her. She didn't. Stop, Elise snapped, her voice cutting through his. She turned to me, her eyes pleading. James, I love you. I never meant to hurt you. It was nothing. Nothing. The word was a slap, trivializing the life we'd built, the vows we'd spoken. I wanted to scream, to shake her, to demand why. But the truth was already there, in her voice on that recording, in the way she couldn't meet my eyes. You're lying, I said, my voice shaking. To me. To yourself. The crowd parted as I turned to leave, my chest tight, my vision blurring. Elise called after me, her voice raw with desperation. James, wait. Please. I didn't stop. The cool night air hit me as I stepped outside. The city's hum drowning out the party's noise. My phone buzzed in my pocket, her name on the screen, but I ignored it. I walked, the pavement hard under my feet, each step carrying me further from the life I thought I knew. Hours later, I sat on a park bench, the voicemail playing on a loop in my mind. I'd wanted to expose her, to make her feel the weight of her betrayal. But now, alone in the dark, I felt no victory, only loss. The woman I loved was a stranger, and the man I'd been trusting, hopeful, was gone too. Then my phone pinged again. A text from Rachel. Check your email. I'm sorry. My heart sank as I opened the message, a forwarded chain from Alex's work account. Photos. Elise and Alex, laughing in a hotel bar, his arm around her. A date stamped 6 months ago. 6 months. The betrayal wasn't a moment, it was a life she'd hidden from me. I stared at the screen, the city lights blurring through tears. The truth wasn't just that she'd cheated. It was that she'd chosen him, over and over, while I'd been blind. The party, the audio, my public unraveling. It wasn't the climax I'd thought. It was just the beginning of a deeper wound. Realizing the woman I loved had never truly been mine.